Welcome to my humble commode. I mean abode. I'm going to talk to you about loading your 120 film for processing. Lo and behold, there's the commode. More to the point, here's the film reels. If you're going to load your film up onto plastic reels, then you're going to need to adjust them to accept that larger format. You know, you're probably used to using them set for 35 millimeter. So that same way that, remember, you would load them on like that, hold on tight with this hand, and then all the way forward. And this, of course, if we open it all the way out, would open up. But we're going to go just shy of that and kind of feel around. And I mean, it's right near the end of that travel. You can see there are some little notches here. And those are set at just the right distance to accommodate 120 film. So now that is set up for 120 film. And you're only going to be able to fit one reel in the tanks like we have at school. So you'll still need the center column though. Never forget the center column. And now to unload it, remembering please that this is going to need to take place in absolute darkness, not bright video room like place like this. So you're only going to need a pair of scissors. You're not going to need like a bottle opener or anything like that. And so in the dark, I just, I peel off the tape or sort of cut it with my fingernail or whatever. And then I pull this out until I sort of feel the film. And I like to sort of keep the film contained in there. I've seen people say, pull it all the way off the paper. Do what works for you. I'm just going to tell you that for the most part, for me, getting it started really seems to be more comfortable, and maybe I'm less likely to dent or drop or scratch the film if I just gently pull it on like that. I'm going to allow this to just sit right on the countertop. Of course, make sure that's dry first. And then, just like the 35 millimeter, keep your thumbs located behind those little tabs, those triangular tabs. I'm going to see if I can clumsily zoom you in a little tiny bit closer to see this. My high-tech video system. There we go. So, push down with that thumb. Now push down with the left one to sort of hold the film in place. Forward, 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 blah, 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 blah. Remembering that, really your thumbs pushing on this back of the film is not a big deal. Why? Because it's the base, not the emulsion. So this is not the picture-taking side of this material, and it's much less likely to develop problems with fingerprints for that reason. So you can see the paper, you wouldn't be seeing this in the dark, but the paper may sort of tend to want to spiral sideways and such, but I just kind of hang tight with my thumbs behind those tabs and sort of help it loosen up. Honestly, it's going to depend a lot on the type of film base that you're working with. Some are thicker and want to stay coiled up a little more than others. And also, it's going to have to do a little bit with the age of the film. I find some rolls, they're rolled really tight. Maybe I shoot a little too much exposed or expired film. That's probably what it is. Anyway, if you find you're really fighting it, then by all means, make your way to the end of this and just get rid of the paper. And you could even start it again if that was bugging you. Now, notice there's a little bit of tape there, and I just tore it to get rid of the tape. It sort of makes me a little nervous to think of this tape as possibly dissolving off and floating around in my tank. So at the risk of denting that last exposure, I try to really carefully peel the tape off of there. I don't know. Maybe some sort of off brands, you're going to have a problem with that tape coming loose, and maybe not so much the good brands. If you reloaded, say, 120 film that you purchased onto a 620 reel and just use masking tape, like what you just saw me peel off of there, maybe that's not a good idea to leave in there. It's up to you. I can actually see, yeah, there, I can show it to you. Do you see those little divots? I'm going to point with my scissors. Those are big enough dents in the film caused by my antics just now that they would actually show when I go to scan the negatives or make prints in the darkroom. They're right at the very end. They're probably not going to be in the image area, but that might be a little lesson of caution for you to really handle it carefully. I think most of you are working with good, high quality, commercially produced film, so you can just safely tear that tape and not worry about trying to extricate it from the film. So now this is just going to go in the tank, same old, same old. Remember how much taller this is, though. The other common mistake we made, especially people who've shot a lot of 35 millimeter and are now switching to 120, is, you know, we're used to thinking of the volume for one reel equals, you know, whatever it was for that 35 millimeter. Now you got Mr. Tall Reel in there. So look on the bottom of your tank. If you're using a plastic tank, I can almost promise you, no matter the brand, they're going to tell you what volume is required for each type of film. So this one has one roll of 35 millimeter, two rolls of 35 millimeter, one roll of 127, which is a sort of intermediate film to what we've got in here, and then finally one 120 or 220 film, and in the case of this tank, it's 20 ounces. So with that diluted D76, that would be 10 ounces of your D76 stock plus 10 ounces of water, and you're good to go. This is a slightly different type of tank than what we have at school, the Patterson tanks, but you know, it would just thread on, and of course now you're set.